Hi, I'm Dolf Koch, president of Koch Amplifiers. It was 45 years ago that I turned the radio of my parents into my first guitar amplifier. 25 years later, I decided to move my bed to the attic and start my company in the bedroom of my house. And 20 years later, this is where we're at now. Basically, it starts with an idea that pops into your mind any time of the day. Could be at night. Sometimes I wake up and run to my home laboratory and start working on something. My wife doesn't like it, but she's used to it. And then I try to form that idea into an amplifier. Like here, this is the prototype of our new single-ended 6-watt amp, which will come out next year. And here you can really see that I start fooling around with components, with parts, until I get the best sound and combined with the possibilities that I can come up with. I just finished it, so let's check it out. I changed something on the tone controls, which I didn't like at first. Added the shift button here, and let's give it some time to warm up. Here it starts humming already. There we go. I've always been a fan of single-ended amplifiers. They have a very natural tone, and if you crank them up, which I won't do here, it will hurt your microphone, you get a very natural distortion. The old-fashioned way of getting a rock tone. You just do it like this for distortion and get it back for the nice clean tone. Here the shift button will add some extra mids for jazz. Okay. Well, this is the original signal, which brought back to one sine wave. And now if you push it up in volume, what you see, it starts to distort here. This is longer than this one, and if you slowly turn it up, it still gets louder, but it also gets more distorted. And here you can see, if I crank it up all the way, it starts to cut off, but in a very gentle way. That's really typical for tubes. And also it gets asymmetrical because this is a single-ended amplifier. And that's what we like so much about tube amps, us guitar players. I can tell you everything influenced the sound of a tube amplifier. That is different with solid-state amplifiers, but in a tube amp, the wiring, the thickness of the wiring, of course the component itself, the quality of the component, but also the design of the component. There are capacitors that have wires here and they sound different than capacitors that have wires like this. Of course, the tubes enormously influence the design, but also the transformers, and that's where I have some help from the outside. I work together with an engineer who is really his main business and knowledge is in transformer design, and we together work on a transformer design that I think has the best sound, and which is technically okay, of course, and meets CE specifications. If that part is finished, I have a meeting with my sales staff, and we're trying to input the demands of the market. We do some research and look if we need to add one button, one extra input, stuff like that, which is important. And then I start working on the transformation from the hand-wired example, the hand-wired prototype, into a reproducible product, and that really it's really important to keep the sound of the hand-wired prototype and transform it into a PC board amplifier. If somebody doesn't follow exactly the schematics of how to wire the amplifier, this hand-wired thing will sound worse than the well-designed PC board thing. But it can also be vice versa. If the PC board design sucks, the amp will sound bad. And we use PC board because it has a couple of advantages. It is reproducible in a fast way. That means that the costs are controllable, and you get an amplifier in the end which has a fair price. And also, it is each amplifier will sound the same, and that is different if you use a hand-built and wired amplifier. This is a very important room in our company. This is where we test our tubes and match our tubes, which is very important to get the best sound of the amplifier. We have designed our own testing and matching system. It can handle 8 tubes at the same time. It's fully computer automated, and it generates a graphic where you can see here it does several tests with the tubes, and at the end it generates a number which we call the bias class number, and then you can take the tubes with the same number, put them in the amplifier, and the amp will sound fine. The procedure is as follows. You take a rough new tube, you do the visual test, then you check if there's something loose inside, put it in here. You can see here there's one faulty tube, which is this one. It gives the red light and the bad graphic. Here is one is not plugged in, which is also the same signal. It does the test for almost half an hour, and I can show you later. We get a row of numbers, and then we take a sticker here and put the sticker on each tube. We place the tubes here together, the number 3, the numbers 4, etc. I can show you here, this is the number 3, and again a number 3. We can put those in an amplifier and have a matched pair. The unique thing of our bias class numbers is that they are exchangeable. You can, if one tube goes bad, you can just take it out and put in a new number 3, and you got a matched pair again. And this is very, if you're on the road, this is very handy.